So that last video got a bit deep. Maybe we should talk about something less divisive or controversial. How about to bring back the National Dex movement? Oh boy. Hey everyone, it's the Koopa Man. Well, if you thought I was late on the boat for the Star Wars stuff, buckle up, Buttercup. You can't even see the boat anymore and I can still swim for it. So on February 27th, 2019, two new games in the Pokemon series were announced. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Stunning titles, I'm aware. I'm still waiting for Pokemon Salt and Pepper, or Pokemon Coke and Pepsi, or my favorite, Pokemon Gork and Mork. Jokes about Pokemon's two version title schemes aside, people got pretty excited, myself included. Just coming off of an alright set of titles with Sun and Moon, twice. Yeah, we should have seen this one coming, shouldn't we? But this was gonna be the first time we would have them on consoles. That doesn't count. This would be a full-on RPG on a console. Okay, I'll give you that, but does it have a fully explorable region? Alright, in hindsight, it wasn't that big a deal. But at the time, we were hyped. People speculated about the new Galar regions and what the new Pokemon would be like. No joke, I got into debates over whether the new region was based on the United Kingdom or Italy, and in my defense, it really looked like Italy at the time, from a certain point of view. Speculation was just part of the fun, and the hype kept building until E3. Just a second.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Okay, you can do this, Koopa. So, at the convention that no longer exists and can no longer hurt us, after Nintendo had their main Nintendo Direct, we got a Nintendo Treehouse Live interview with the developers of the game, including Junichi Masuda himself. This was the moment Pokemon fans had been waiting for. I mean, we got some great Smash Bros. News and some other great games, but most of everyone into this franchise is only into this franchise. So what did they do?
ただしここでこれまでポケモンバンクのサービスをご利用していただいているファンの皆さんにちゃんとお伝えしたいなと思っていることがあります。
But there is one important change from the previous Pokemon Bank service that I want to tell all of its users about.
Wait, what?
これまでのポケットモンスターシリーズは例えばサンムーンではアローラ図鑑に含まれていないポケモンも、全種類をポケモンバンクから連れてくることができました。
So in previous games that worked with the Pokemon Bank service, you were able to, for example, in Sun and Moon, bring over any Pokemon even if they weren't in the Alola Pokedex.
でハードが任天堂スイッチになって、ポケモン1匹ずつに対しての、表現自体も、非常に豊かになりました。
But with the transition to the Nintendo Switch hardware, with its, it being much more powerful, allowing us to be much more expressive with each of the individual Pokemon.
でもう一つポケモンはもう今では図鑑番号でいうとやっぱり800を超えてます。
And now we're well over 800 Pokemon species in the games.
でその中で1匹ずつ大切にクオリティを上げてバトルバランスも取って、限られた、開発期間の中で最新作をお届けするためにどうするかっていうのは、長い間議論を重ねてきました。
At Game Freak, we really spent a lot of time thinking about what the best way to move forward was, really preserving the quality of all the different Pokemon, while also, taking into account the battle balance, having so many different Pokemon available, all within, a limited development time, so we don't keep fans waiting too long for every new entry in the series.
その結果今作から対応方針を変えることにしました。
And after a lot of discussion, we decided to come to kind of a new direction.
つまりですねポケモンホームとソードシールドの間を行き来できるポケモンをガラル図鑑に登場するポケモンに絞ることにしました。
And so what that means for Pokemon Sword and Shield is that players will be able to transfer their Pokemon from Pokemon Home only if they appear in the Galar region Pokedex.
Alright, let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that the Creature Collection RPG game, the one with the tagline of gotta catch 'em all, the one where the very goal is to catalog all of the Pokemon, won't have all of them?
You had one job. Just the one?
And like the proverbial shot heard around the world, it had already begun. Immediately on social media, the fighting had already started up. Bring Back National Dex trended on social media both in English and Japanese for many days, getting an average of 7,000 tags a day and topping the trending lists on Twitter repeatedly. It even made enough noise to get a page posted about it on Know Your Meme, a non-drama, watered-down version of Kiwi Funds. Of course, not everyone was against the decision. To this day, there were loyalist sympathizers of Game Freak who are willing to support these games anyway regardless. We have a word for those kinds of people on this channel, but it escapes me. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Now, what these people didn't understand is it just wasn't about the national decks. That had been cut generations prior. And it wasn't even the fact that all Pokemon were available. People still bought Let's Go and Pokemon Go, for God's sake. No, this has been the straw that broke the camel's back. For years, Pokemon fans have been suffering getting fan-favorite features like the Dex Nav, the Versus Seeker, the Battle Frontier, and others being cut completely from the games. We were used to it by this point, but this change was fundamentally undermining the core of the game itself. At the very beginning of the first game in the series, you are given a mission as a trainer. A goal. It's not to become the champion, it's not to defeat Team Rocket, it is this. And I will read verbatim from the game itself so there's no accusation of misunderstanding. I need to ask both of you to do something for me. On my desk, there is an invention, Pokedex. It automatically records data on Pokemon you've seen or caught. It's a high-tech encyclopedia to make a complete guide on all the Pokemon in the world. That was my dream. But I'm too old. I can't do it. So I want you two to fulfill my dream for me. Get moving, you two. This is a great undertaking in Pokemon history. And once that had been successfully undermined, all the hairline cracks in the series the fans had ignored until now came full to bursting, and the proverbial dam finally broke, unleashing a torrent of outrage and righteous indignation. This was not at all aided by Game Freak and the gaming press, who, like the loyalist naive fans, were trying to dismiss all the criticisms. However, every time Game Freak opened their mouths to make an excuse, it almost immediately got revealed as a lie. Things like how the new games were using new assets, new move animations, and how the open world would be the best looking in the franchise history. With all that said, there had been vitriol going on both sides. Now that we had about 4 years to calm down, we can look at things objectively. To be fair to the loyalist side, I would like to take time now to seriously answer their positions. Granted, most of these takes will seem like straw men. It's been a while. This is the best I could find of the events that unfolded from either YouTubers or picture memes. Though I did run this by a few people in writing to make sure that I was being fair and balanced. So without further ado, it's time for Koopa Man's response to anonymous internet commenters from more than 3 years ago. Yay! It doesn't really matter. You were never gonna use those Pokemon anyway. Now, the reason I'll address this first and foremost is not only because it's the most common excuse by the fans, but it's also the most recent I actually heard. From CJS0001. This is not to bash on the guy or anything. I actually have a ton of respect for him as a YouTuber, but it does disappoint me how many take this position, when the games themselves, until this point, foster the attitude against it. Every Pokemon is someone's favorite, even some for the most arbitrary of reasons. Look at the Furret Walk meme, for example, or Pachirisu in that one tournament. Heck, I've even met people who refuse to evolve their Pokemon because they like the pre-evolved forms better. Full on like Dawn. Sure, I get it's anecdotal, but there are countless people who've been introduced to the series through any sort of Pokemon. To say X Pokemon isn't good anyway is a kind of entitled elitism that misses the point. But what else do you really expect, though? This is an argument coming from competitive Pokemon players, usually around the Smogon forums, but sometimes from elsewhere. I could go on about this trope of stop having fun, guys, is just the most idiotic thing in gaming, but that would require a whole video on its own. And before you ask, it's already been written. To sum it up, I'll quote the game's text again, and I'll leave it like this. Strong Pokemon. Weak Pokemon. That is only the selfish perception of people. Truly skilled trainers should try to win with the Pokemon they love best. I like your style. You understand what's important. Never thought I'd say this, but well said, Karen. This change isn't new. In the shift from Generation 2 to Generation 3, connecting with past games was impossible. Many Pokemon were left inaccessible. Yes, that is true. However, they were still programmed into the code of the games themselves. Ruby and Sapphire even had an unlockable National Dex mode, a feature introduced in later titles within the generation if you trade between those titles, pretty much proving that it was always Game Freak's intention to keep these inaccessible Pokemon in the game. It also is the case that every new generation since made a way to transfer your Pokemon into the newer games, sometimes bending over backwards to do so. Granted, it wasn't always easy, but it was a small price to pay for longtime fans who either wanted to keep a complete living Pokedex or just wanted to keep running their favorites in each game. It was a loyalty reward in a sense. The latest way to transfer was from Generation 5 and 6 to Generation 7 via the Pokemon Bank, a paid storage service. At least at the time, it was a paid service. Granted, $5 a year is a small price to pay for fans once again. Since then, they introduced a new service, Pokemon Home, which costs a full $15. And to have that be the last stop for some fan-favorite Pokemon is kind of a spit in the face. These games are products, not gifts. We have to pay money for almost everything. To take away this loyalty gift for those who paid so much in the franchise is, well, short-sighted to say the least. And we saw the result of doing that. They couldn't add all the Pokemon because of the new graphics, the better story, the open world mechanics. They were rushed, they had crunch, and they patched them in the DLC and future releases. There are too many Pokemon anyway. Gonna combine these as the answer for all of them can be summarized together. This would be a legitimate excuse if any of it were true. Granted, that last part about the old Pokemon being patched in the future is sort of true, from a certain point of view. Most, not all, of the cut Pokemon did return in post-DLC updates. That being said, you had to purchase the DLC to be able to access them in-world, or be subscribed to Pokemon Bank if you want to transfer them into the game. Both ways can pretty much be considered paywalls. As for the rest, normally I would be in the graphics don't make a game camp, but when it's being used as an excuse, and the graphics look like an N64 game but with worse pop-in, it doesn't hold up. As for the models and animations, it was proven that it was the same set of assets used in the 3DS era generations. The Pokemon Company made these to future-proof new releases that will have to add all the new Pokemon in. This isn't an excuse, nor is having too many Pokemon. Recycled assets are not a problem to most fans. Most were willing to deal with the issues if we meant we had a complete Pokedex. And as for there being too many Pokemon,
who decided that?
When we got Digimon video game directors, a franchise with far more creatures than Pokemon, publicly stating they want to make games with all the Digimon, a franchise with less money and less fan demand, there's no excuse other than a pathetic lack of ambition and complacency. As for the move animations, it's the same as always. Just sprites over a face or generic actions with one or two animations playing. As for the story, if you played X and Y, you've played Sword and Shield. That's all I'm willing to say. This isn't a review of the games in depth, but if you won't take my word for it, I recommend you look up Radical Soda's review of it. Granted, it's a bit on the long side, but it gets the job done. Good video. Go watch. And on the final topic of the games being rushed, well, yes, they were. It shows. This isn't crunch culture, it's incompetence. Game Freak took it upon themselves to have so few employees, fewer than what's standard for most games. Pokemon is the most profitable franchise of all time. You're telling me they can't afford to hire new people? It isn't helped that an already small team is being made even smaller and made to do multiple projects at once. Nobody wants Pokemon to be a yearly release. Not even Nintendo are that stupid. Anyway, I think that's enough beating the dead horse for now. So I'ma just say this right now. I had a whole 2 more pages of this script about the recently announced Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. But while recording, I decided that I'll think about both these games some more and maybe make them into their own video. Either it'll be after this one, after the next one, or later on down the line when we're closer to release. Please stay tuned. This has been the Koopa Man. Game on. Oh, jeez, I think I got glue on my shoes. It's a shame things got this bad. I miss when Pokemon was still good. Black and White, now those were some good games.